Hello everyone. Today we will study about company form of organization. Let's start with the meaning of joint stock company. Joint stock company is a voluntary association of persons for profit having a capital divided into transferable shares, the ownership of which is the condition of membership. So, a company is an association of persons formed for carrying out business activities. It has a separate legal entity with perpetual succession and a common seal. And as per section 2 subsection 20 of Companies Act 2013, how a company is defined? A company means company incorporated under this act. This act here means 2013 or any other previous company law. Now let us study about the features of a company. The first feature of the company is an incorporated association. For a company, it is necessary to get it incorporated. That means registered under the Companies Act 2013. The company must be incorporated or registered under the Companies Act 2013. Without registration, no company can come into existence. And one more thing is there, the formation of a company is a time consuming, expensive and complicated process. It involves preparation of several documents that you will study later on, like Memorandum of Association, Articles of Association and Prospectus. Second feature, separate legal existence. As soon as a company is registered under the Companies Act, it becomes a separate legal entity. That means the existence of the company is quite different from those of its members. It is created by law, so it is a distinct legal entity independent of its members. It can own property, enter into contracts, borrow money and can file suits in its own name. Just like a person can own property, can enter into contracts, can borrow money, in the same way a company, as it has a separate legal existence, so it can own property, enter into contracts and borrow money. It can do all the things that a normal person can do. Artificial person. Why we call the company an artificial person? Because it has got all the rights of a person, but like a person, it can't see, it doesn't have hands, eyes, ears, etc. Like natural persons, a company can buy and sell property, can borrow money, can sue and be sued by others. But unlike them, it cannot breathe, eat, taste and so on. That's why we call company an artificial person. Fourth feature of the company, perpetual existence. Being separate legal entity, the existence of the company is not affected by the existence of its members. So, death, insolvency, insanity or change of members has no effect on the life of a company. It can come to an end only through the prescribed legal procedures. Or we can say members may come, members may go, but the company goes on forever until and unless it is wound up by the specified legal procedure. Now the fifth feature of the company, limited liability. It is one of the most important feature of the company. The liability of the owners of the company, it is limited up to the nominal value of shares held by them or to the amount guaranteed by them. In case of winding up of the company, the creditors can use only the assets of the company to settle their claims, not the personal assets of the shareholders, because it is the company, not the members, who owes the debt. Let us take an example for that. Suppose a shareholder, Vidisha, is there. She is holding 5,000 shares of rupees 10 each, on which she has already paid rupees 7 per share. So her total liability 5,000 multiplied by 10, 50,000, but she already has paid 35,000. So in case the company is wound up, then she will be liable to pay maximum up to rupees 15,000, being the amount unpaid on the shares held by her. Next feature is transferability of shares. That means whatever investment a shareholder has made in the shares of a company, he can transfer his shares of any listed public company, that can be easily transferred, although there are some restrictions on the transfer of shares of private company. Next feature of the company is common seal. As company is an artificial person, it cannot sign the documents itself. So it needs a stamp that can act as its official signature, and that stamp, it is known as the common seal of the company. So what is common seal? It is the official signature of the company, and it needs to be affixed on all the important documents. Any document bearing the common seal of the company is a binding on the company. Now the last feature of the company, separation of ownership and control, or you can say separation of ownership and management. In case of company, who are the owners? Shareholders. And who control the affairs of the company? It is management, it is board of directors. So there is separation of ownership and control. Management of company is in the hands of elected representatives of shareholders, known individually as director and collectively as board of directors. The actual owners of the company are shareholders, but they don't have right to be involved in the day-to-day running of the business and day-to-day operations of the business that are being managed by the board of directors, that is being managed by the management of the company. Now we will study about the merits and demerits of company form of organization. First merit, limited liability. Why this form of business is opted by the persons? Because of its feature of limited liability. That means in case of losses, your personal assets will not be used to pay off the liabilities of the company. So here you go, only assets of the company can be used to settle the debts, leaving the owner's personal property free from any charge. Limited liability of shareholder reduces the degree of risk borne by him. Second, transfer of interest. That means if at any time you want to convert your investment into cash, you want to encash your investment, then you can easily sell your shares, or you can also transfer your shares to anybody. Easy transferability of shares increases the attractiveness of shares for investment. This avoids blockage of investment and presents the company as a favorable avenue for investment purpose. Third merit of the company, it is perpetual existence. That means permanent existence. The existence of the company is in no way affected by the existence of its members. Existence of a company is not affected by the death, insanity, insolvency, or change of membership. Company can be wound up, it can be liquidated only as per the provisions of Companies Act 2013. It will continue to exist even if all the members of the company die. Fourth merit of the company, scope for expansion. A company can collect huge amount of capital from unlimited number of members who are ready to invest. Why? Because the nominal value of the shares is very less. Secondly, they will have to bear less risk as limited liability is there. They can easily transfer their shares and they can get high returns in future. So it attracts the investors to make their investment in the company. Further, it can take long-term loans from banks and other financial institutions. So there is ample scope for expansion in case of a company. And the last merit of the company, professional management. Because the company has enough resources, so it can afford the services of professionals. It can pay them higher salaries. So it can employ highly qualified experts in different areas of business management, which ultimately adds to the prospects of the company. These are the different merits. Now, we will study about some of the demerits of this form of organization. First, demerit of the company. Legal formalities. The formation of a company, it requires greater time, effort, and extensive knowledge of legal requirements. So as compared to sole proprietorship and partnership form of organization, formation of the company is more complex. The procedure of formation of company is very long, time consuming, and requires lot of legal formalities to be fulfilled. Lack of secrecy. Why? Because a company has to provide a lot of information to the registrar of companies from time to time. Secondly, this information is available to the general public also. So, it is quite difficult to maintain secrecy about the operations of the company. Lack of motivation. That is quite simple to explain, because there is no direct link between efforts and rewards, because there is separation of ownership and management. Efforts are being made by management, but the profits belong to the shareholders. So there is lack of personal motivation. Divorce between ownership and control and absence of a direct link between efforts and reward lead to lack of personal interest and incentive. Fourth demerit of the company, it is delay in decision making, because companies are managed through board of directors, which is followed by top management, middle management and lower level of management. Every time before taking any decision, you need to take approval of all these levels of management. So communication as well as approval of various proposals, it may cause delays not only in taking decisions but also in acting upon them. So you can say every decision, it requires too many formalities, it requires too much paperwork, that we know as the red tapeism and bureaucracy. It results in delayed decisions. And the last demerit of the company, it is oligarchic management. Although we say that a company is a democratic institution, wherein the board of directors, they are representatives of the shareholders. But in practice, and specifically in large sized companies, the owners, that means the shareholders, they have minimal influence in terms of controlling. So here the board of directors, they enjoy complete freedom in exercising their power. So sometimes they may misuse their power contrary to the interest of the shareholders. So company is said to be democratically managed, but actually it is managed by few people, that is board of directors. Sometimes they take decisions keeping in mind their personal interest and benefit, ignoring the interest of the shareholders and the company. So this is all about the company form of organization. So features of the company: incorporated association, separate legal existence, artificial person, perpetual existence, limited liability, transferability of shares, common seal, separation of ownership and control. And then the merits: limited liability, that means liability limited to the unpaid amount on the shares held by a person. Transfer of interest, you can easily transfer your shares. Perpetual existence, that means the existence of the company is quite independent of the existence of the shareholders. It has ample scope for expansion because it enjoys ample of resources. Professional management is there. And then the demerits: formation of the company requires too many legal formalities, lack of secrecy because the company need to publish its accounts, lack of motivation due to divorce between the ownership and management, delay in decision making because every decision needs to get approval from too many levels of management. And last one is oligarchic management because management is in the hands of few and specifically in case of large companies. That's all for the day. Thank you.